My name is Janee Hill, and I'm a television producer, host, and motivational speaker. I am married to a wonderful man named Randy, and we have a 7-month-old little boy, Randall Harrel Hill, and we call him RH. And then I also have 3 stepdaughters who are 9, 13, and 17, Maggie, Macy, and Miranda. I graduated from TCU with a radio, TV, film degree, and I had high hopes of doing big things in front of the camera, but I struggled with an eating disorder. And my senior year at TCU, I went into treatment for my eating disorder, and I just never thought that I could do media and be okay with who God created me to be. And so I abandoned my media dreams and did leadership development, motivational speaking for many, many years, and then realized I was telling everyone to pursue their dreams, and I still had my dreams of media. But I wanted a different kind of media. You know, on TV, I didn't see a whole lot of authenticity. I didn't see a whole lot of programming that would really encourage and equip women. And so instead of trying to be a light in other people's dark world, I started my own production company. And so that's how mHe3 Productions, which is my television production company, was born. My heart for programming is primarily women-focused, and it's going to be shows that inspire women to grow to the next level. We've done 3 national shows. Probably the one that I'm proudest of is Revelations of Authentic Women. We called it Raw Women TV and got lots of interesting feedback due to that name. But it really encouraged high-achieving women to take off the mask, to open the door to freedom and healing. And what I found is in my own life and in working with other women, that the more we can be real with where we are, then we can really start to grow to where we want to be. I have been blessed with so many great mentors in my life. One of them is my good friend and mentor, Debbie Rossa. And to me, I've had so many people in my life who will say, I'll pray for you, but they're helping me from a distance. Debbie has been one of those women who has coached me one-on-one. She's walked this road with me, and her only caveat in doing that is that I will be committed to walking the road with other women. And so that's just one example of one of the mentors I've had. One of the common threads that I've seen in women is fear. Fear of sharing their stories, fear of judgment if people know the journey that they went through to get where they are today. And what I've experienced in my own life and I've seen with other women is we're not alone. And in fact, I think there are many successful women who have perhaps been homeless at one or more points in their life or very close to being homeless. Myself, I was sexually abused as a child. For many years, I didn't want anyone to know that. I think I've seen a lot of victims of domestic violence or women who struggle with alcohol who don't want to share those struggles for fear of judgment. And when they do, as I mentioned earlier, they find out they're not alone and there are tremendous resources to help them overcome those obstacles. I think for those of us who have overcome tough situations, it's our social responsibility to give a hand back. It's not a hand down, but to help those, be a bridge to women who are in those dire situations and believing in them and providing those resources. And as I mentioned earlier with my mentor, actually walking them on the path and being willing to be that voice when perhaps they've lost their voice temporarily. My biggest life lesson has been that the gifts and skills that I have, the things that maybe make me different, that growing up I felt made me not fit in, are actually what makes me unique and what allows me to help other women. And so to really embrace your differences and quit trying to be someone you weren't created to be. For many years on the outside, I was seemingly successful, had great jobs, but I was really struggling on the inside, fighting a lot of feelings of insecurity, low self-esteem, and nobody would have probably known that. And I really believed in my heart of hearts that I was a mistake. And as I mentioned, those unique gifts and skills that I had, I just felt like they were for nothing. And one day I was called to speak to a group of debutantes, and I was supposed to talk to them about professional etiquette. So I studied up and I was well-versed in what fork to use. And I walked into this group of 15 to 16-year-olds, and I was raised as a debutante, so we were wearing the big dresses, and they were typically from affluent families. And this group of 15 and 16-year-olds were underprivileged girls from a church. And the pastor's wife had called them debutantes, hoping to give them a new name and a new identity. And so they didn't need to know professional etiquette. They needed to know how to say their name and look people in the eye and be proud of who they were. And that was hard for them. But I asked the question, what questions do you have about dating? And one girl raised her hand and said, if a guy asks you out on a date, who pays? And I said, he does, but that doesn't mean you owe him anything. And another girl said, well, what if he doesn't take no for an answer? And that day was the first time in my whole life that I began sharing authentically. And 2 of those girls from that group came forward that they had been date raped. And we ended up exposing, through my contacts in the media, a ring of date rapes going on in that particular neighborhood. And that was the day that I knew that God had given me my voice. I knew that God had given me the ability to ask questions that nobody else will ask, and to really talk about things that nobody wants to talk to. And so that was the pivotal point for me when I realized I had a purpose, and I was going to live that purpose. For me, at that life-changing moment, when I knew there was more to this life, I knew that I had a purpose, but I'd made lots of mistakes. And I remember just getting down on my knees all by myself and just saying, Lord, I need you. And I have fallen a lot, but I need you and I want you. And that's all I did. And the awesome thing is that then God brought people in my life to show me what faith in action looks like, to show me how to walk out getting freed from my past. I mean, I have struggled with many things, from prescription meds to eating disorder. I mean, I've been a hot mess. And I am so proud, by the grace of God, to say I walk in freedom. And not that I'm perfect, but those things that I struggled with for many years, they don't have a hold on me anymore. And so that was kind of my process. And the first step is just reaching out to God, because He is ready to pick you up. I would not be where I am today without strong, dynamic women who picked me up and who helped walk me through. How do you start your own business? How do you walk through tough times personally? How do you deal with a great marriage? But guess what? We're not perfect people. And I think what I found in my own life is when we come from a place of strength and confidence, we are comfortable helping other women. And I would suggest that if you're at a place that it is hard for you to appreciate other women's success, if you think that you have to tear other women down to pick yourself up, then perhaps there's some work you need to do within yourself. For me, staying centered is spending time with what matters the most. And for me, it is my faith and my family. And what I have found is there have been many times when I have been chasing the dollar, I'm out trying to get business, and I have to do that to survive. However, when that becomes my focus and my priority, my faith and my family suffers, and then I'm not happy. And so ultimately, I'm not going to get new business because I'm not exuding my confidence. And so I think it's kind of counterintuitive, but to really take those things that are most important to you and make them first. For me, in the mornings, my quiet time is only 5 to 7 minutes and I'm out the door, but that is my centeredness for the day. 2 things I haven't done that I would like to do. One of them, I want a national television show on a major network. And the second thing, I want to win an Emmy. And those may not sound fun, they may sound, but for me, my work is really fun and I'm really passionate about it. And I want to make a funny statement in a tutu when I win my first Emmy. As women, we are multitaskers. We can go 100 million different directions and not miss a beat. And when you get those kind of women working together towards a common goal, we are unstoppable. I want my legacy to be that I loved Jesus with all my heart and soul, and I loved and served his people. If there's a thought that you have, an idea, a dream, maybe even just a little rumbling in your belly, then that means there's something more for you to do. And you don't have to have the whole plan, but take that first step and see what happens.